Hello YouTube folks, welcome to my channel. My name is Steph and today I will be recommending books to help you get out of a reading slump. I do want to preface this by saying that it's okay to have a reading slump. Like don't think you're no longer a reader or no longer a dedicated literary lover. It's okay to have slow periods, and it's also okay to go weeks or months or even years without reading. You can still love books and still be a book person if you're not cramming 3 or 4 books in every week. And I also want to say that it does count if you go back and read a comfort book. It's okay to reread your beloved copy of The Maze Runner or whatever from 2014 over and over and over. It still counts. You're still reading. And if that's what brings you joy, that's okay. You still love books and you still love reading. And there is nothing wrong with continuing to love a world and a story that you have already dedicated time to. So I feel like for some reason spring is kind of like the reading slump time of the year, which is so funny because it's like life's building up. But I think that's why reading kind of slows down. You know, fall and winter are like prime reading times. It's dark, you just want to stay home. The cozy vibes are vibing away. And spring, it's like time to amp up for the summer, time to get things done, time to be productive, go back to the gym, etc., etc. So I'm going to be recommending books to help you get out of a reading slump if you wish to continue reading as spring comes upon us and continues its push to get us to be productive. I separated these books into 3 categories. First, we're starting with short. Sometimes you just need to finish a book to get out of a reading slump so you know that you can finish a book, to affirm that you are capable of finishing a book. Not that you have to finish every book you read, not that unfinished books don't count, but sometimes just having the validation of, I finished this book. Even though it was only 180 pages, I finished it. Sometimes it helps get you out of a slump, so short books are going to be suggested. Of course, these are also really great books that I recommend. And then easy books is the next kind of category I'm going to be talking about. These are books that are just kind of, they breeze by. They're not huge brain levels to get you through. Just a good, easy book that kind of, gives you all those lovely feelings you get from reading without being like, okay, I have to go pick that book up again, And the third category I labeled juicy. These are books that suck you in and then spit you out after the last page. These are books you cannot put down. They really get ya. You know what I'm saying? The first book that I will be talking about today, and this is in the short category. I'm going to do the short category first, and that is Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I'm sure you've seen this movie. I'm sure you've read this book, but go back and give it a reread, or maybe pick it up if you haven't. It's a really timeless story. We have the glorious actors from the movie on the cover of this version. But it's just a high school story. This boy who's very neurodivergent coded is kind of finding his friends, discovering adventure, navigating new relationship dynamics, and it's super short. Look at that. Let me count the pages. 213 pages. And these pages are small too. Oh God, that's the last page. I shouldn't show that page. They're small and it's like letter format, super easy, quick read. Quick. The next book I recommend for the short book category is Orbiting Jupiter by Gary D. Schmidt. This is a really sad story, so I wouldn't recommend this if you're looking for something a little more lighthearted. But if you like stuff that tugs at your heartstrings and you want to get it done fast, I would recommend this book. It's from the perspective of a young boy who is in a foster family that takes in another foster boy who's very troubled. And from the perspective of the younger boy, he kind of learns what the older boy's life is, kind of his hardships, and navigates that relationship and the way it affects the family dynamic. Very beautiful story. Let's see how many pages this one is. 183 pages. And look how big the print is too. You could get this done in 2 hours, come on. The third book in the short book category that I'm recommending today is Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. Ah, look how beautiful that cover is. This is, if you like Coraline, read this book. That's all I'm going to say. It's about this boy navigating a difficult relationship with his parents. He gets a babysitter and she ends up being more than meets the eye. He meets this girl who's very Stargirl coded at the Ocean at the End of the Lane, which is really just like a lake, and she tells him that magic is real and teaches him about magic and stuff like that. Also kind of a, I don't want to say a sad ending, but definitely, I mean, Coraline coded, right? Like I said, it's definitely like, whoa, what's going on here? And there's lots of fantasy elements in this one. So, short read. Let's see how long it is. 171 pages. This is the shortest out of them all. But the print is kind of big, so. Ocean at the End of the Lane. The next category, the easy category. The first book that I'm recommending in this category is Anatomy by Dana Schwartz. This is a really cute story. It's a duology, so if you do want to continue it, you can see the second book chilling right there, face out. It is a duology. If you really enjoy the story, you can continue it. You also don't have to. I found that the resolution in the second book was kind of like obvious. No spoilers, but this is about a girl who lives during a time period where women were not allowed to be doctors, and she really, really wants to study medicine. So she enlists a grave robber to get her bodies so that she can do research on them and stuff. And there's a bit of a romance. It's just kind of like cozy vibes, you know? It's got like that spooky energy because it's like dead bodies and graveyards and bloody surgery offices kind of vibes, old spooky mansions that are kind of abandoned. But it's really sweet. The writing is very easy to digest, and the main character is really cool. It's just like an easy little read. You don't really have to think very hard, but you still enjoy the book. Anatomy. Look at that cover. Ah! I love a good cover. The next book on this list for easy reads is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. You literally can read any T. Kingfisher book, and they are pretty much all of them are short and easy reads. She is a master of writing standalone fantasies that are just so unique and so digestible. But this one's really cool. I think it's one of her newer books, but it's about this girl who is on a mission to complete these 3 trials things for a witch to give her the ability to save her sister, who is engaged or married maybe to an evil prince. And there's magic in it. There's definitely found family energy, and it's also a little bit spooky energy. I mean, the witch is, I think she's called like a bone witch or a grave witch or something. I don't remember what she's called, and it doesn't say on the back of the book, but it's like, so she's kind of weird, and she has a cape made out of bones or something, and it's cozy though. Like, the stakes are not that high, or at least nobody's that stressed out in the way that it's written, but it's still interesting. It's still, you go on an adventure, and it's just an easy read. It's also kind of on the shorter side for like classic T. Kingfisher, like for all of her books, they're pretty short. The third book I'm recommending in the easy category, which I don't have a copy yet because I just read it like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and I'm obsessed with it. And that is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett or Fouquet. I don't know how to say her last name. This book is super good, super easy read. Again, it has that cozy vibes, very cute adventure story. The stakes are low perceiving, but it's also like people are being kidnapped and killed, so it's like still interesting. It's still not like mundane, but it's about this world where fairies exist and scholars study them, and this young scholar is determined to write an encyclopedia documenting all fairies across all nations and cultures. So she goes to this like super rural like snow town and is trying to learn about their culture and their fairy lore and stuff, when her coworker at the school she works at, right, she's a scholar that she suspects is a fairy, shows up and is like, I want to be part of your little adventure that you're doing right now. And it's really cute. Again, it's an easy read. Like, you just like eat it up and it feels like nothing. These books are almost like Ghibli movies, you know, where you're watching and it's like, ah, yes, the world may end at the end of this movie, but like, I'm not stressing, you know? The next category, the juicy category, we're starting off with a hitter, with a big guy. I'm sure you have every single one of you have read this book, I'm sure. And that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. What is there to say? I love the first 3 books. I honestly feel like you could read just this first book and like not read the next 2 books. You'll get a very different outlook on the story overall because there's a huge change that happens in the second book. I'm sure you all know. But this is just a delicious story, y'all. Eat it up. You get sucked in. You don't get spit out for a very long time. I remember I was working at a bookstore when I first picked this up. It was at the tail end of COVID, so I was still like in my isolating vibes era, but I was starting to be social again. And I remember literally skipping college parties to get through this book. It's so good. If you don't know what it's about this world where fairies exist again, but they're very different fairies. They're not like folklore fairies. They're just like these almost angelic, like super powerful beings, or at least some of them are. And this girl has 2 older sisters that she's fending for because they're starving. She taught herself how to hunt. Her dad is like useless and just mopes around because he lost his merchant job. And she kills a wolf in the woods, and the wolf is a fairy, is a friend of a fairy lord king guy, and he is upset that she killed his wolf friend, and he kidnaps her and takes her to fairy. I think it's technically a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but only the first book. So essentially he takes her to fairy. She's like, oh my god, what's going on? I'm just this human person and I'm like chilling with these fairy people. And then she discovers that the fairy courts, there's like 7 or 8 courts, are being controlled by this malicious queen who put a curse on the fairy who kidnapped her, his kingdom, and all the other kingdoms, courts, whatever they're called. And so the girl is prophesied to save the fairies, take down the evil queen. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. You probably already know, but Court of Thorns and Roses. Juicy. Yum, 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 yum. The next book in the juicy category is a thriller. That is Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Ugh, please ignore that Target sticker. I hate when the stickers like rip the paper and you can't get them off. I'd rather leave the sticker, but the sticker is so horrible. I'm going to cover it. Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This is an excellent, excellent thriller. Thrillers are a great way to get out of reading slumps, especially when they're like plot twisty, unreliable narrator-y, and this is a great example of that. It's about this psychologist doctor guy who works in an asylum, and they have a new patient, and she doesn't speak. She refuses to speak, but she's tied to a murder case. So they're trying to solve the murder, trying to get her to talk, and you find out that, oh man, how do I even say this? You find out that not everybody is who you think they are. You find out that through flashbacks told like non-chronologically, that things don't appear the way they are appearing based on when you see them until you see the whole picture. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's juicy. It's a good thriller. The last book I will be recommending today for books to get you out of a reading slump in the juicy category, 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Oh man, you could read this book and no other book by Leigh Bardugo and you will get the full picture. You'll get the full picture. I know her latest book just came out, The Familiar. I haven't got my hands on it yet, but this book is so good. It's a long one. So if you're slumped out from reading because you're struggling to finish a book, maybe don't do this one. But if you're just struggling to get into a book, I would recommend 6 of Crows. Just such incredible, masterful weaving of stories. So it takes place in this world where people have magic, but they call it small science, so it's like not really magic. and they're called Grisha, the race of people with magic. And there's like this slummy area, this city with a lot of crime in it, and this guy is promised bazillions of dollars or whatever their money is in this world. I think it's like Kruger, I don't know. He's promised a lot of money if he can kidnap somebody from the Fjerdans. And the Fjerdans are like this, they're based off like Nordic culture, I think. They're just this super like isolated, almost savage, depicted as savage community of people that live way in the north. Very different, like they're not a part of the main continental government. So he enlists a ragtag found family group of people to help him kidnap this person so he can get all his money. And at the same time, he's also plotting this very dense, complicated revenge situation. You know what I'm saying? But there's different perspectives. Every perspective is explored. There's awesome flashbacks that you learn more about a person during. There's heists. So it's like, oh my God, are they gonna make it? And something really cool that Leigh Bardugo does with her heists is everything goes wrong. And then you learn that there was a backup plan all along. And then maybe there's a chance of everything going right again. She does that in a lot of her books. She definitely does it in this one. But Six of Crows is a great way to fall into a book so heavily, so heavily, because it's just so masterful. It's such good storytelling. So that is it, y'all. That is it for my reading recommendations to get you out of a slump. Whether it's a short book, just so you knock it off your list, an easy book, just so you can turn your brain off, or a juicy book so you get absolutely sucked in and never to be seen again. I hope one of these books help you in the springtime where we're running to be productive and get things ready for summer. We can still read. We can still take time to read. Or you don't have to. Nothing matters. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you have a great one. Bye.